Students, Mr. Williams here. Let me get my keynote pulled up. Hopefully my system doesn't crash. All righty, last subsection here for section 13, the 1992 election. Let's go ahead and set the table here. All right, Bush looks politically untouchable. He's got an approval rating in the high 80s, all right? And that's from late 1991. So he's going to enter into the primary season as the Democrats are sorting out who they want to nominate in the winter and spring of 1992. He's going to enter almost seen as, a giant among men. It's going to be really, really difficult for him to lose. The Democrats effectively, similar to the re-election campaign for Richard Milhouse Nixon, maybe similar to 2020 a little bit, they're not sure they want to put their best and brightest or their new upcoming face of the party up against this most likely unwinnable situation. All right. Can anyone defeat Herbert Walker Bush? That's the big question in 1992. There are some problems, though, that make Bush defeatable, and they're going to grow through the rest of the calendar year. So there's some chinks in the armor a little bit. All right. There are some blemishes. Okay. On the skin there. All right. A lot of people, and it was just starting to get touched on in the video towards the end of the last screencast, believe that Bush didn't finish the job. He didn't want to go in and completely dethrone Saddam Hussein because he believed it was going to lead to greater destability in the nation, in the Middle East, and a lot of those coalition forces, a lot of those allied nations might not have been for that. Americans, though, a good portion of them said he didn't finish the job. We need somebody else out there. It's still horrible that Saddam is in power in Iraq, oppressing the people of Iraq and in general the Middle East, being that tyrannical, loose cannon per se. The economy starts to slow down. Bush promised no new taxes back in 1988, the classic read my lips, no new taxes. And the Democratic Congress, signed by Bush, go ahead and institute some new taxes. So not good, all right? Again, that's a knock against George Herbert Walker as he enters the 92 election. And also there's no clear vision for the American people, what he's going to do in regards to Saddam Hussein, the Middle East going forward, and no new vision with domestic policy to counter some of the economic downturn that the nation was experiencing. So kind of wishy-washy in terms of providing clarity for the future. 93 on for the US of A. Okay, so some knocks against George Bush going into the 92 election, even though it looks like he can't be defeated. Okay, huge lead for Bush starting in the spring of 92, and it's going to quickly dissipate through the summer and fall. The Democrats eventually nominate the gentleman right here to your right, William Jefferson Clinton, and he is going to bring on a very centric senator from Tennessee, Al Gore. Clinton was the governor of Arkansas, kind of comes from left field here to earn the Democratic nomination in 1992. He was once a failed governor of Arkansas as well, so he earns the governorship, loses it the term after, and then reruns for office and serves several terms. For the most part, Arkansas had been doing well under him. So he's a Southerner. All right, he's going to get that Southern Democratic vote. He's middle of the road, so he potentially could pull some disenchanted Republicans away from George Herbert Walker Bush. And he gets another moderate, middle of the road Southern Democrat and Al Gore to be his running mate. So these two look like a real even keel, balanced option together on the presidential ticket for the Democratic Party. Not Democrats by today's standards either. By today's standards, Bill Clinton would have been laughed off the debate stage, okay? Way too middle of the road. It's crazy just to think of how significant politics have changed just in 25 years. But this political unknown, if you will, in 1992, wonderful speaker, okay? Can't say it enough how good Bill was behind the mic. He was your smoozer, all right? There's a movie called Primary Colors that does a great job dramatizing the Clinton campaign in 1992. But he's got a campaign specialist in James Carville. He's got a ruthless side piece in Hillary Rodham Clinton. And together the Clintons are going to campaign in 92, do a phenomenal job of it. And with some of the self-destruction and non-self-destruction that's happening to the Bush campaign, they're ultimately going to win this race. Now, he's an unknown, but that doesn't mean there's not already some fireworks and some question marks about the Clintons' past, where he's coming off as young, youthful, hip, and in, lock and step, or kind of one with the young American public. Bill Clinton is also going to have his own bouts with corruption or womanizing. People want to launch a concern about Bill Clinton, not get you to vote for him because of his morality, right? Jennifer Flowers is an individual through the 80s that had romantic relationships with Bill Clinton. Ultimately, her profession or her livelihood was kind of ruined by the Clintons as she decided she was going to come out and speak out against the president. This is the clip, bottom right, that showed after the Super Bowl in January of 1992. I believe that was one of the times the Bills lost the Super Bowl. I think this was to the Cowboys this time. But nevertheless, classic clip here of both Hillary and Bill sitting down going, Jennifer Flowers, have no clue who that is. Well, I know who she is, but no, nothing bad happened. Man, she just must be mistaken. People trying to be out to get us. It just drips in classic Clintonism. Clip above is Bill visiting the Arsenio Hall show, one of the late night talk shows in the early 1990s, trying to appease that young demographic, that new young American in the 1990s. Bill's actually playing the saxophone. Okay. It's just awesome. It is awesome. Bill Clinton, just classic campaigner. But he's also, MTV launches a series called Rock the Vote, trying to inform its viewership, its demographic of, politics, getting in tune, doing your civic duty of voting. Bill Clinton goes on MTV at one point in time in the 92 election cycle and is asked if he's ever, smoked marijuana. And of course, Bill wants to connect with the young voter. Classically, American youth or the younger demographics vote Democrat. So he's thinking if he can get him in 92, he definitely can get him in 96. And he has the classic Bill Clinton answer of, I've smoked it, but I've never inhaled. So he's had his mouth, but he's never fully breathed in. And it's just so classic, lawyerly trained. He was the Attorney General of Arkansas at one point in time, too. Okay, so top lawyer in the state of Arkansas, but for the Arkansas government. But just classic Bill and Hillary going all the way back to 92. A couple of clips there. Encourage you to YouTube them. For sake of time, I'm going to click on through. There is an outlier. There's a maverick, Ross Perot. Texas billionaire in instruments and technology. Ross Perot is going to go ahead and run in 1992. And believe it or not, Ross Perot is going to actually go ahead and lead the polls at one point in time in summer of 92 before he decided to drop out. That's my best Ross Perot impersonation. Encourage you to YouTube Ross Perot, some great stuff. The 92 election, I dedicate a little time to it because it's fascinating. It gives us Bill Clinton, okay, who actually oversees as chief executive a Republican-led Congress that has a balanced budget in the mid-90s. Our government actually runs in the black a couple of years. We don't acquire debt. We're actually getting to the point where maybe we're going to start, paying some of our debt off. Fascinating stuff. He also oversees economic advancement as we fully, transition into the service sector and technology sector in our American economy. So it gives us Clinton. It sees the fall of the extension of Reagan. Okay, so it brings, Reaganomics and the presence of Ronald Reagan to a close with Herbert Walker exiting. But the election itself also is fascinating because it's the only time in recent history where we have a legitimate third-party candidate in Texas billionaire Ross Perot. And Ross Perot's campaign is fascinating because he is a true independent. Let me pause this here. A phone call coming in. Dang it. Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry, I had a phone call there. Okay, so Ross Perot, fascinating character, true legitimate third-party candidate that actually has a certain level of appeal. He was big on protecting American domestic interests in regards to industry, production, service, etc. He wasn't a big fan of NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, which is ultimately going to get signed and instituted in the 1990s, re-upped by the Trump administration here during his first term under a different name. But anyways, he was about protecting American goods and services, more of an isolationist in regards to the economy than a globalist, okay? So again, good and bad can be argued either side there. But Ross Perot was that, and that resonated with a good portion of the American public who felt they had done due diligence over the last decade to rebuild the economy, and you needed to protect that. So Ross Perot resonates with those individuals. He also resonates with individuals when it comes to, we don't need to be dabbling with foreign affairs as much, okay? We need to be cognizant, we need to be aware, but we need to work with our allies, and our allies need to kind of take care of themselves as much as possible. But he was a bit tone deaf when it came to social issues in the US of A. He was a bit tone deaf in terms of representing the government and its influence in social issues. He basically want to be hands off, all right? Society, handle your things privately. The government doesn't need to be necessarily dabbling with that. So he's kind of an old school, hands-off government in regards to societal issues, regards to financial issues, as much as possible, except he wanted to utilize the government to protect American financial interests domestically speaking. So Perot, he's actually up there in the polls, neck and neck with Clinton and with Herbert Walker Bush through the early summer months of 1992. And then he just immediately drops out of the race. Okay, drops out of the race. A lot of it is rumored on the idea that the Bush campaign was going to attack him on a personal level, and he didn't want to put his family into the crosshairs of political mudslinging. Many Americans are furious he drops out, okay? Bush needs him out because he's going to take more Republican votes from Bush than he is Democrat votes from Clinton. So ultimately, if Perot stays in, Clinton's got a great chance to win. Perot does too, but Clinton's got a great chance to win. Perot sits out the rest of July, August, and some of September, and then finally jumps back into the race, but it's too late. It's too late, and people wonder his sincerity by the time he re-enters the race. And it's in just enough time, though, to take enough Republican votes from Bush and give the victory to Clinton. Okay. Another fascinating thing about Perot is he didn't actually buy political ads, the ones that run during commercials. He had some of those. He actually spent his money buying 30-minute blocks of time during network primetime television. So you could sit down. I remember watching these. This is what's awesome now, being a history teacher. I could tell you from my day. I remember sitting down with my family on the couch in our little trailer in Stewartsville, Missouri, and watching Ross Perot take me through the pie charts, the graphs, and the other graphics that he'd pull up. He's sitting there at a desk for 30 minutes. He's got ABC, NBC, CBS, etc. And he's basically taking you through. He goes, okay, hey, I want to show you here. I want to show you here what's really happening with the United States economy. Okay, and here's what's going on. 30 minutes. It's amazing to think of. He'd buy that block of time. He wanted to speak directly to the American people. Okay, no bones about it. We're not going to beat around the bush here. I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to go on. And it's just some fascinating stuff. And he does enough to get into some of the debates in October and go toe-to-toe with Bush and Clinton on the main stage. So again, Perot splits the conservative vote and the rural vote, classic Republican associated demographics. And Clinton's going to win a sizable electoral victory, 370 to 168. Popular vote, though, 19%. 1 in 5 Americans that voted went for Ross Perot. Crazy stuff, okay, by presidential election standards. Bush is going to get 37%, Clinton 43%. Perot gets 20 million votes. Crazy, just crazy, all right? So we got about 100 million Americans voting. The age of Clinton, though, arrives in the US of A, all right? And we're going to have a very active first lady with Hillary Rodham Clinton, and we're going to have a relatively active president. And the man that, I feel your pain. I feel your pain, America. Joy, I feel it. I know it's how and you're suffering, okay? And under my leadership, United States of America, we'll look after you. I promise. Asia Clinton is here. All right. That does it for our notes. Okay. God bless, and take care, America. See you later, history students.